Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a journey to a place most people only ever see on the front of luxury holiday brochures, the Seychelles. But we are looking right past those glossy travel ads to uncover the deeply complex reality of this nation. I mean, seriously, what actually lies beneath the surface of the world's ultimate island paradise? When you strip away those five-star resorts and the perfect white sand beaches, what kind of history, culture, and survival strategies do you actually find? Well, we're going to completely shatter that one-dimensional postcard image today and uncover a fascinating, highly complex nation. To start, the sheer geographic scale of the place is just staggering. 115. Yep, the Seychelles isn't just a couple of islands. It's a sprawling archipelago made up of 115 distinct granitic and coral islands, and they are scattered across a massive 400,000 square kilometers of the western Indian Ocean. All right, so here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. Beyond the postcard paradise, 2. Pirates, powers, and plantations, 3. The birth of Creole culture, 4. Independence and political turbulence, 5. The tourism double-edged sword, and finally, 6. Fighting for the future. Okay, let's jump right into part 1, Beyond the Postcard Paradise, looking at its geological origins. So, picture this. Roughly 10 million years ago, a massive chunk of land literally breaks off from the African mainland and just drifts northeast. It took with it towering granite boulders and entire mountain ranges floating in complete ecological isolation. And because it was completely untouched by humans until the 17th century, it incubated this totally unique mixture of flora and fauna that you literally cannot find anywhere else on Earth. It's like a giant prehistoric time capsule. Which brings us to part 2, Pirates, Powers, and Plantations, the island's colonial history. For centuries, the Seychelles was basically a dizzying maritime chess match between European empires. Back in 1505, Portuguese navigator Vasco da Gama first spotted them. For a long time after that, their deep, hidden bays made them the absolute ultimate safe haven for pirates and buccaneers. But by 1756, the French officially took possession, seeing their strategic value for controlling sea lanes. Fast forward through the Napoleonic Wars, and by 1814, the islands were ceded to the British. Now, the economic engines driving this colonial era were, frankly, brutal. The French set up massive sugar, vanilla, and coconut plantations, and these were fueled by a clandestine slave trade coming from East Africa and Madagascar. When the British finally abolished slavery in the 1830s, the whole economic model shifted. To fill that sudden labor shortage, colonizers started importing a massive wave of Indian labor directly from the sugar states of British India. And this rapid shift radically and permanently changed the demographic makeup of the islands. Out of this intense, forced convergence of diverse peoples, something totally new was forged. Let's look at Section 3, the birth of Creole culture, and a truly unique identity. Take Seychelles, for example. Now, this isn't just a language. It is really the ultimate symbol of the Seychellois identity. It's a French-based Creole, sure, but it brilliantly weaves in vocabulary from African languages, English, and Arabic. For generations, it was purely an oral tradition, passed down by spoken word, but in the 1970s, it was standardized into writing. Today, it's the very first language for the vast majority of the population, complete with a flourishing literature of novels, poetry, and plays. And this unique identity definitely extends to physical expression too. You've got the sega, which is a traditional national dance. It's this beautiful, rhythmic integration of African and French musical influences. It acts as a dynamic community narrative, one that survived the absolute darkest days of colonialism. Even today, the sega continues to evolve, sparking passionate, modern debates about cultural authenticity, ownership, and exactly how traditional arts adapt to a digital age. Moving into the 20th century, the islanders started demanding control over their own destiny. That's Section 4, Independence and Political Turbulence, the path to freedom. Getting out from under British control? Well, that was a highly polarized and remarkably rapid process. The 1960s saw the formation of trade unions and a really intense political awakening among the public. By 1970, a fully representative council was elected. And finally, after some heavily polarized negotiations that divided the nation along both political and ethnic lines, the Seychelles was officially granted independence on June 29, 1976. But the story doesn't stop there. Just a year after independence, in 1977, a coup d'etat established a one-party socialist state under President Franz Albert Rene. He governed with absolute authority for over a decade.
However, by the early 1990s, with the collapse of the global socialist bloc and mounting internal economic pressures, the political system shifted once again. In 1993, the nation voted to adopt a brand new constitution, finally returning the Seychelles to a pluralistic, multi-party democracy.
Now, according to the source materials we're examining, this transition hasn't exactly been without its modern challenges. The texts note that despite these democratic reforms, the nation still grapples with intense political rivalries. Various reports highlight ongoing scrutiny regarding press freedoms, instances of political harassment, and some concerns over the monitoring capabilities of the nation's intelligence agencies. So it's a young democracy, right? Constantly reforming and navigating its way forward. To really understand the modern Seychelles, we have to look at what actually pays the bills. Section 5, the tourism double-edged sword, an economic engine. The Seychelles economy relies heavily on just two main sectors, tourism and fisheries. And while they do have a sophisticated fishery management regime in place, this massive, outsized reliance on tourism makes the country incredibly vulnerable to global shocks. When the 2008 global financial crisis hit, or when oil prices randomly spike, or, a pandemic completely halts global travel, the entire national economy feels the devastating impact almost immediately. And herein lies that paradox we've started with. See, the rapid influx of wealth from foreign tourists built out the modern infrastructure, things like paved roads and reliable electricity, and it drove high employment. But it came at a severe environmental and social cost. Hastily built luxury beach facilities caused irreversible coastal damage in some areas. Plus, because so many investors are foreign, the profits often just leave the country, a process known as capital flight. Meanwhile, the local population is frequently left dealing with a soaring cost of living, feeling alienated from their very own prime coastlines. Which brings us to the most critical part of our journey today. Section 6, fighting for the future and the existential challenges ahead. The challenges here are, quite literally, existential. We are talking about an entire archipelago resting just meters above sea level. Rising seas? That means imminent coastal flooding. They're facing extreme, unpredictable shifts in weather, too. We're seeing mosquitoes breeding in once dry agricultural highlands, and severe droughts are just becoming the norm. The economic projections are pretty stark, a projected 5% drop in the nation's entire GDP by 2050, solely due to the impacts of climate change. But, and this is crucial, the Seychelles isn't just sitting around waiting for the water to rise. No way. They are actually pioneering global survival strategies, like establishing the world's very first dedicated marine protected area. Government and public organizations are aggressively eradicating invasive species and fiercely protecting World Heritage sites, like the incredible Aldabra Atoll and the Valley de Mai. They are fighting tooth and nail to preserve their unique biodiversity. They're also looking way beyond the physical environment to secure their future. Government leaders have recognized that the Seychelles has a unique opportunity to showcase its digital economy and unique e-government paradigm as cases of success in the knowledge economy. To overcome their geographic isolation and reduce that heavy reliance on physical tourism, they are pushing hard toward a digital landscape. They really see technology and e-government as the great equalizers for small island nations in a post-pandemic world. Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought: how does a paradise actually survive when the oceans around it are literally rising? The Seychelles is a resilient, incredibly vibrant nation that has survived pirates, empires, and political collapse. But as their shores literally shrink, their future isn't just in their own hands anymore. It's intimately tied to the environmental choices the rest of the world makes. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope it leaves you with a lot to think about. See you next time.